Lukewarm, just the way I like it. To be honest, I'm not really a huge fan of New Year's resolutions, and from what I've read, experts tend to agree that they don't really work, mostly because people give up on them. I don't really know all the science behind that or the science behind goal making exactly, but today I wanted to share my 2020 goals, and it just makes sense to create new goals around the new year because that's when it's most relevant for most people. But I generally agree that you should be working towards self-improvement all year round, regardless of what time of the year it is or what other people are doing. If you feel like there's something that you want to improve about your life, then do it whenever it feels relevant. So I wrote down a few goals here, and then I was watching Dr. Mike's video about his goals for this year, and he brought up the idea of SMART goals. SMART is a acronym. I'm looking it up on my phone right now, and it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And I do believe that is SMART as well, that you should actually be specific about your goals, set certain numbers or certain timelines or whatever. You shouldn't just say things like work out more, work out how often, work out how many times a week, how long, etc. So I'm probably going to have to sort of mess with these goals a little bit more to make them more specific and measurable and time-based and whatever. But for now, I'm just going to share what they are. What they are. I ended that sentence very strangely. So in order to make this sort of book related, this isn't like a goal that I'm going to write down because I don't really care about reading goals, but I would like to read at least 12 books this year. I do the Goodreads goal when they ask you at the beginning of the year how many books you'd like to read, and I always end up setting a goal that I just don't really attain because I read much slower now than I used to. I guess not much slower, I just don't have as much time for reading. When I was in high school or middle school or something like that, I actually kept track of how many books I read in a year, and it was like 113 books and a few magazines. But nowadays, because I only have time to read a little bit at night, and not even every night, I read more like maybe 10 books a year. I think this year I actually read 9 or 10 books and that was it. So I would like to read 12, and that is one per month, which generally seems to be what I can realistically do. So a goal that I wrote down is more time off, and I know that's not specific or whatever, but the reason that I came up with this goal is because out of curiosity, I looked to see how much vacation time I had saved up. So I actually looked this up on December 11th, and right now, or as of then, I have 107 hours of vacation time and 40 hours worth of sick days saved up. And to me, that was a little bit mind-blowing and eye-opening in the sense that I very rarely take time off for the sake of doing like something fun or actual vacation time. I've used some vacation time for, I know I used 1 or 2 days for like a dentist appointment, doctor appointment, or not days, I used a couple hours for appointments, like doctor's appointments, and I know I used a couple hours for doing some other sort of like administrative type task, and I did manage to use a couple days, I believe it was actually 2 days I took off work for an actual vacation. I went camping in July, but having that much vacation time saved up and not being able to use it is kind of sad. I was actually doing some research on Americans and vacation time, and Americans are notorious for not taking time off. We have, overall, as a culture, I guess, a very strong work ethic, and the idea that you need to constantly be hustling and doing this and doing that, and to take time off would just disrupt that hustle flow or something. And so we just don't do it. Or in a lot of cases, people have jobs that don't give them vacation time. And so I want to make a habit, or at least more of an effort, to take time off for fun, like for me to actually take vacation time and not just, oh, I need an hour because I have a dentist appointment or something like that. And the nature of my job makes it very difficult to take time off, even though I have it. I can't just leave and someone takes over my work. I have to do all of my work for any days that I would have taken off or will be taking off, and that's including paid holidays, doing all the work for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all of that. It took me actually months to get through all that work, so I don't want to get into too much negative talk or sound like I'm talking bad about my job, because they do allow me vacation time and they actually allow me a lot of perks, but it's just the sort of nature of the job makes it very difficult to take time for myself. And I've said it a million times, I know I'm definitely a workaholic. I put work, whether that's my day job or my writing stuff or even my YouTube channel, I put those above a lot of things, including my health and my sanity and my well-being, and that's just not right. I know, like I said, we have a very strong work culture in America, or at least a lot of people do, and that's how I am. I value working hard and being known as a very diligent employee and just working my ass off all the time, but that's not healthy. It's really not healthy. So saying taking more time off is not specific, but I would actually have to take some time to sit down and see realistically how I could take some time off for myself. Because like I said, it is really difficult to get work done ahead of time for vacations that I want to take in the future. Even if I just want to take 1 or 2 days off and just do like a staycation sort of thing where I maybe do things around the house or just go have a day in the area enjoying myself, because that's not something I've really done very much. So yeah, I don't have any specific how many days I would like to take off because it's not something that I can easily come up with. But yes, taking more time off of work, my day job and my writing and all that is going to be a goal or a priority of mine in 2020. And this next one is a bit similar to the last one in the whole workaholic sense. And I wrote it as fewer chores / responsibilities, i.e. less necessary productivity. So like I said, I'm a workaholic. I'm addicted to productivity, I realized. I don't know how to not be doing something that feels productive and meaningful. So by that, I mean, even if I'm not working on writing or my day job or even YouTube or anything like that, if I just have time where I realize that, oh, I don't have any pressing chores, I don't have anything that needs to be done, a lot of people would take that as an opportunity to just sit around, relax, watch a movie, do something. But my brain is always like, okay, is there one more thing I can get done? What is one more productive thing I can do? One more thing. And it's like 20 things, 20 small things. And I start to feel like I'm resenting myself for constantly forcing myself to be uber productive all the time, every day, every week, every minute that I can squeeze something in. And I find that it's very, very hard, and I feel very guilty for just sitting around and doing something that's relaxing or fun. I've slowly managed to sort of compromise with myself. So, for instance, I have I don't know if you can see it, a paint by number back there, and that's a paint by number that I think I got for Christmas in 2018. And so part of my like downtime thing is I will work on that because that's still sort of a form of productivity. It's still like a goal that I'm accomplishing. And the same goes for reading books. Sometimes when I have a little bit of downtime, I'll just sit and read a book instead of waiting until right before bed to read, because right before bed is generally my like designated reading time. So if I happen to have some spare time in the afternoon on like a Saturday, I try to read because it still is sort of productive, but it's also relaxing and kind of chill. So that is something that I'm trying to do. I think the fewer responsibilities / chore things, it's probably going to be twofold in the sense that I'm going to have to find maybe certain chores that I do all the time but aren't necessarily something I need to be doing weekly, and just either taking them off the list or just, you know, doing them every other week or maybe once a month, depending on how necessary they are. And I think that's also going to require me to figure out how to change my mindset around the whole workaholic thing. Like, I don't know how to not be obsessed with working and being productive. So that's something I'm definitely going to have to work on in myself. And I don't know how to like quantify that. So that's all I can say is just like try to reduce unnecessary chores or spread them out over a wider range of time so that it's not like a weekly thing. It'll be like a monthly, bi-monthly kind of thing, depending on what they are. And then also try to figure out how to convince myself that I don't have to be accomplishing something all the time, and that it's okay to just be doing some like mindless things. Alright, the next thing on my list is again something that I have a hard time quantifying or making very specific, but I have it written as improve mental health, parentheses, lower anxiety and depression. I think the only way I could think to quantify that or show any sort of like number thing, if that makes any sense. I know there's different questionnaires that try to determine whether or not you have depression, and it'll say something like most of the time I feel really sad or something like that. And you have to rank it like a 1, as in rarely or never, 2, sometimes 3 all the time. So I feel like I could find maybe one of those type of questionnaires and do it on like a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis or something, and then use those numbers to figure out, okay, is my mental health improving? Because, you know, improving mental health and deciding whether or not you are happier or less anxious, less depressed, something like that, is kind of hard to measure. It's really just sort of a fluctuating scale of your own opinions, I guess. So that's something that I want to work on. And I've already started going to therapy again. And I could talk a little bit about therapy and my experience going to therapy in its own separate video. But that is something that I started, I think it was either in the beginning of December or the very end of November. I started going back to therapy with someone completely different. I mean, I've only been to, I think, 2 sessions at this point, so I can't really say that it's helping or not helping. We don't even really know each other that well yet. So that is something that I've already started in a way that I think improves mental health. But I'm going to have to be more specific and come up with maybe like little bullet points about, here are things that I can use to get a sense of where my mental health is, like those questionnaires I was talking about, and then also specific things I can do that are intended to make me feel better. And therapy being one of those things, probably working out more, maybe less time on social media, something like that. So a lot of these goals are very multi-tiered, and maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, maybe it's just making it more complicated, but who knows? That's just what I'm going to try and do. Yeah, this next one kind of goes into the same thing. A lot of these goals I'm realizing, and I'm not surprised, they're very related to mental health, well-being, and working versus downtime, work-life balance. They're all sort of related in that way, and it totally makes sense to me because I have become not in the best mental place in the last year or so, and I've put probably a lot more emphasis on my working life than I have on any other aspect of my life that I have in a long time. And I really do feel like my life is more imbalanced towards working rather than my own well-being. So the next goal that I had, I just wrote, practice better self-care and well-being, both mental and physical. To go off of those, for mental, I wanted to start practicing meditation and gratitude. A lot of these things sound very foofy to me, and I know it does to some other people, but others would say that, yeah, these things work for them. So I've heard a lot of great things about meditation. I have tried it so many times in the past, and sometimes it works, sometimes I feel like I'm doing it right, other times it just really frustrates me. So if anyone has any like meditation apps, videos, like YouTube videos or anything that they use that they feel like works, link them below or just mention them in the comments so then I can look for them, because at this point I've tried a few guided meditations on YouTube, but you kind of have to jump around a little bit and try to find videos that work for you or different people that work for you. But I do want to try meditation more often. So I was thinking that when I finish a workout, maybe I can end it with meditation, because that tends to be a time when I'm alone and can actually focus on meditating. It's really hard for me to meditate when my husband's here or when the dog is being really needy. So usually at the end of a workout, I'm generally by myself, and I feel like that would be a good time to work out or to meditate, maybe starting with like 10 minutes, 15, 20, working my way up like that. Again, the whole idea of improving mental well-being could involve so many things. I think I need to create like a really nice bullet list or like specific things that I can do. But I heard that gratitude is a good one. And again, that sounds very hoity-toity cheesy to me. But for a lot of people, it seems to work, where you sit down and you make a list of things that you're thankful for. And it sounds really cheesy, but I think it is important to try to force ourselves into a positive mindset and to feel good about the things that we have, instead of constantly complaining about things that we wish we could change or improve or things that we wish we could have. So that's going to be a challenge to really alter my mental state and the sort of state that I've been in for a long time. So I'm going to definitely have to figure out more specific things that I can do to just improve my mental health and my general mindset on a day-to-day basis. And then continuing on that similar train of thought with the whole practice better self-care and stuff, the physical aspect, I would like to work out a little bit more. Right now I have 2 days a week that are my dedicated workout days, but in the past I used to work out, I think, 4 or 5 days a week, and the time that I'm thinking of that I was really into working out, it was just before I moved to San Diego. I worked out pretty much every single day, at least every weekday, and I was probably in the best shape I've ever been in my life. It wasn't just that I could lift a certain weight or run a certain amount of time, like I just felt really good, and I felt really strong, and it was nice when I did my usual workout routines and I realized that they were getting easier and easier, and I had to just keep increasing weight or increasing reps or something like that. And I don't think I could ever have the time to work out 5 days a week. So I want to try and work out 3 days a week and really stick to that, because I think 3 days is good. I mean, I do take multiple walks per day, but to me it's not enough, especially considering the amount of time that I have to sit between my day job and all my writing stuff. So I really need to be working out more, in my opinion. And then I also want to get back into yoga. I say back into, like I was ever really like deep into yoga. I never really was. But there were times in the past that I just did very basic stretching, usually at the end of the day before bed. And I also have taken yoga classes. And sometimes, again, like meditation, it was very hit or miss. I require yoga that is not too easy, but not too hard. I've taken yoga or done yoga instruction, I guess you should say, like DVDs. That was just so difficult that it was frustrating, and I couldn't relax, I couldn't get into it, I couldn't physically do the things that it was asking. And I've also done yoga where it's just way too easy, where I feel like I'm not getting any sort of physical workout. So I need a good, like, in-between where some of the moves are kind of challenging, but it also allows me to just focus and relax a little bit, to really get into, like, just be in the moment and not be focusing on other shit. I did start doing some yoga. I just use YouTube, so if you have any good yoga channels or yoga videos that you've used, you can link them in the comments, because I definitely like to check them out. So that's something I've already started doing. So if I'm working out 3 days per week, I would ideally like one day to be primarily strength, one day to be cardio, and then the third day to be yoga. But with it being winter, it's really hard for me to do the type of cardio that I like. I can't run anymore, really, because my right knee has been fucked up pretty much all my life, and I feel like it's just going to get worse. So I prefer biking or using an elliptical. And the only way I'd be able to use an elliptical, unless we ended up buying one, was to go to the gym. I'm not a huge fan of gyms, but we do have one very close by. If I went to it, I think maybe that would give me a chance to try some different equipment, force me to get out of the house, which I feel like is something else that's very good for me and something that I need to prioritize. And it would also give me the opportunity to go to classes. So going to the gym might be part of that. It might not. I don't really know. I haven't decided yet if that's something I want to bother spending money on. My next goal, I originally wrote that I wanted to publish the third book in the Blood of Fire series, but I realized that's not entirely realistic, because it took me 5 years to finish the first book and publish it, and then it took me almost 2 years to publish the second one. So I don't want to push myself so hard to try to publish the third book in 1 year, because that's obviously not realistic considering my current schedule and what my life is like. I want to finish it, and that can either mean I finish the first draft, although I don't think it'll take that long, but ideally I would want to have the first draft finished and to already be into the editing process by the end of the year. To me, that sounds much more realistic and much more close to what I've been doing with my other books, and I don't think it's fair to myself, considering that I'm trying so hard to improve my well-being and mindset and work less. It's not fair to try to push myself to finish and publish a book in 1 year when it seems to take me almost 2 years. So yeah, 1 year is not realistic, but I do think I can finish and start editing it by the end of the year. The next goal that I want to talk about is something that's sort of been in the back of my mind. I haven't found a way yet to quantify it, but I wrote explore my area more. So I've been living in the current area that I live in Utah, for about 1.5 years, I think it is, going on 2 years, and I don't really know the area that well, in the sense that I know where some things are, I know how to get around for the most part, but because I work from home, I don't really have reasons to go places, and also I don't like traveling really far. I don't like driving on highways. I don't like being a passenger in a vehicle. That's an anxiety that I've developed in the last couple of years that I never had in the past. But I would like to just go to some places that are maybe like local areas, local parks, local hiking trails, maybe some like mom and pop stores that aren't like big chains that you can find everywhere else. I think it'd be interesting to just explore in the sense that, I don't know, I'm trying a new restaurant. Like I said, go camping someplace nearby or hiking someplace nearby that I've never been to. I check out some local stores. Like, for instance, there's a small bookstore a few miles from my house. It's been on my radar to go there since, like, the summer because I used to ride my bike past it in the morning. But I just never had the time or never made the time to just go there on, like, a Saturday morning and look around and see if there's anything I want to buy. It's not, like, a big deal. Like, I don't need to be completely familiar with every store and every street in my area, but the fact that I spend so much time in this house, which to me doesn't really feel like a home half the time, like I feel like I work in a building that's shaped like a house. Like this feels more like my workplace and more like the place that I'm just kind of stuck in all the time rather than a home I get to return to. And I feel like if I had more reasons to leave the house, I would, one thing, maybe be less anxious about leaving the house and going to places I'm not familiar with, and I would also know the area a bit better and maybe be more excited to go to some places. Like I feel like I need to make excuses and reasons to go somewhere. And like I said, I don't like the idea of traveling really far. I hate driving long distances, but even just in 20 to 30 minute drives in my area, there's plenty to see, I know. I just don't know what there is because I've never had the time, specifically the time, and the reason. I don't like aimlessly driving around, but it'd be cool if I found, there's some hiking trail that's nearby that I've never been to, and we take the dog there or something for a couple hours. At least that would give me a reason to just not be in this building any longer than I need to already. So like I said, I'm not going to worry about quantifying things right here on camera. That's going to take more time to actually sit down and make bullet points and specifics. So I'm just kind of giving you guys like the most basic of these goals and why I'm choosing these goals. So the last one I want to talk about might seem a little bit strange to some people, but that is to make one genuine friend in real life. Now, as I've said, I've been living in this state for a little over a year and a half? Can't really remember. Don't know off the top of my head. But in that time, I had one friend who I met online through an online writing group, but then she and her family moved out of state. So at this point we have, or at least I have, no friends. I have no friends, no family in this state. My husband has some sort of like casual friends because he actually goes to a workplace and meets people. And, but even he feels like he doesn't have like really genuine friends. And I think that's really, really hard. I've heard it from so many people, so I don't feel so alone and crazy, but it is very difficult to make friends as an adult, especially when you don't have reasons to go places. Like I don't have a workplace to go to where I would make friends with my coworkers. I don't really have a lot of hobbies outside of the house. I do volunteer at the animal shelter nearby, but the days that I go are like kind of the least popular days. So I will chat with a couple people here and there, but a lot of times we're busy helping the animals, so it's not like social hour. This I'm gonna have to try to find some specifics, like brainstorm specific ways that I can try to meet new friends. I have come up with a couple ideas. I've been using for a while now Bumble BFF, which Bumble is a dating app, or started as a dating app, but now they have a friend version. I've only met one person in real life on there. We didn't really hit it off. It was really awkward. So I'm still trying. I've been working with that app for a long time, or not working with, but I've been using that app for a long time. I'm going to keep trying to use it and hope that maybe I'll hit it off with someone else. I'm also thinking that if I start going to a class out of the gym, maybe there's a chance that I could meet some people in the class and become friends with them. I'm also thinking that there's a Barnes & Noble that opened up fairly close to us, not too far away, and I didn't realize, but they have like a book club thing. I don't really know how that works, so I'm gonna have to go there and see if I can find out more information. But I was thinking if I joined the book club, not only do I get a chance to read more books, I could potentially meet some people there who have the same interests as me. So if you're an adult who struggles to make friends in real life and you have any tips or any places that you found friends, definitely let me know, because even as an introvert, who loves being alone. I love my independence. I don't like having to rely on other people's schedules. It really, really sucks when I get lonely, because that means that I've been alone for way too long and that I'm lacking a lot of interpersonal relationships. Is that the word? I think. And it's actually interesting that I talk about this today, or film this video today, because last night I had a dream that I was at some sort of school. It was like a high school or a college or something. And I knew my childhood friends were there, but I couldn't find them. And I was like texting them, trying to figure out like, hey, where are you? We have a final for this class and we need to hurry up and go. And I kept trying to figure out where they were, but I kept sort of like missing them. And there were also people there who were from the online writing community. This is kind of a strange dream, I guess. So I saw the people that I sort of knew as online people, like online friends, and they were just too busy. Like they were sort of chatting with each other or like networking with big publishers and agents and stuff, and they didn't really have time to acknowledge me. I woke up very sad because I realized that the online friends that I have, as much as, you know, I feel like a lot of them are genuine friends or have the potential to be genuine friends in real life, because that does happen. I've met plenty of friends online or people online and then actually hit it off in real life. But in the dream, they weren't really my friends and they didn't really care that much about me, which is sort of, I think that's a feeling anyone who lives in the online world understands. You might recognize someone's username or their pictures and feel connection to them, but not feel like you're really friends, not feel like you're really close to them. And then in the dream, I was trying to reconnect or find my real life friends that I grew up with, went to high school and college with, but I couldn't find them. So there's definitely, I feel like, some meaning there or something that I could interpret from that. But I just remember waking up feeling very sad and lonely that I never managed to find my friends in the dream. And I think friendship, no matter what age you are, is very important. Studies have shown that people with close friends, close family members are healthier, less depressed, they live longer, and that people of all ages, not just like old people, if they don't have friends or close family relationships, they tend to be sicker, more unhappy, and they don't live as long. So making even just one friend in real life would be wonderful. Like I said, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to make friends. Most of the friends that I have in real life or had growing up, it's because we lived together our entire lives, or I met friends through other friends. So being stuck at home the way that I am, there's no reason for me to meet other people. And being a very independent, introverted, anxious person also makes it harder to connect with people. And also, something me and my husband have talked about is we're not exactly normies. And I know normal is like sort of an irrelevant term because normal is different for everyone. But we have kind of specific interests that aren't exactly what everyone else likes. And we both have very odd sense of humor sometimes. So it can be very difficult to find people who aren't weirded out by our hobbies and interests or just sort of put off by our personalities. Not to say that we're just like super special and no one can handle us, but we're just not the kind of friends that do well with, you know, this sort of typical white bread, boring, status quo sort of people. So it can be very difficult to find friends who are interested in the things that you are, especially when the things that you're interested in might not be normal or typical, or might be a little alternative and I don't know, just sort of different from what is considered like average interests. Like I said, it can be difficult to find people who you really gel with and really feel like you can be close to them. So yeah, that's why I don't enjoy trying to make friends, because you just kind of feel like you want to be yourself, but you're worried that your true personality is going to be off-putting. But when you find someone that you can be yourself around and they're not put off by it, it only encourages them to be more themselves. That's like a golden area. That's like the best feeling in the world, is when you're like, hey, I'm fucking weird too. Let's be weird together. Oh, that's great. We can be our own kind of weird, and it's okay. Okay, so those are my goals. Like I said, those are just sort of a bare bones, over-explained version of what my goals are, and I do intend at some point to go through and try to make these more specific for myself, rather than just saying, I want to make more friends, or I want to be more active. You know, it is really important to find out specifically how you're going to make more friends and how you're going to be more active or whatever your goals may be. That is all I have for you guys today. I feel like this is going to be a much longer video than I anticipated. Go figure. I'm curious as to what your goals are for 2020, if you have any. You don't have to call them New Year's resolutions if you don't want to. Just call them future goals that you might want to share. Leave them below in the comments, and any suggestions you have on how to attain the goals that I mentioned to you guys. If you'd like to keep up with me on my writing endeavors, I'll leave all my social media links below in the description, as well as links to my published novels, Blood of Fire and Trail of Flames. So until next time, see ya!